Hi there, this is Alexander Hall for Viva Voce Week 8. So, I'm going to be talking about, going over what I did over the week and maybe going over the feedback I've been getting from staff, and I'll be talking about how I'm going to be applying that and just thinking about how it might support my personal statement as well. So, I'm going to start this right now. So, my first question is, what did I do this week? So what we did this week was we added some extra choreography to the choreo of I Hope I Get It, and we've been working and completing the final bit of the greatest show for our tap session. So we've got the full tap choreography up to scratch. So we're just working on it and learning it and cleaning a few things now. And we've also fully blocked found tonight for our assessment, so that's all in the bag for that. And also working. Also I did my 32 bars of soliloquy from Carousel, so we got that out of the way. So I know what I'm going to be singing for my assessment and the part of it as well. And also we worked on translating Shakespearean language. So we took a few monologues from Shakespeare and then worked on translating it as well, so we could see how we can try and use that and apply it to our own Shakespearean monologues. So that's all been well and done. So that's all there. And then of course I got one-to-one support on my contemporary monologue, which is Fear of Music, which is the one with Andy, who's talking about him killing the badger. And so the next question is, what feedback did I get from staff, and what do I need, and how am I going to improve it for the extra weeks? So I need to work very much on my articulation for soliloquy from Carousel, because the word that I particularly have struggle with is the word girl, which is in the part of Carousel where it goes, when Billy's saying, on the way to get out, daddy girl. And the thing that I do a lot of is I go, girl, instead of going, girl, or maybe something like that. But the one thing I need to do is try and work on getting the G right, so really getting the girl, and not making it sound like girl, making it sound like girl. So it really kind of using all the letters really clearly, so it's not like I'm going girl, it's a girl. Yeah, it's a girl, yeah. And making it sound more like G-I-L, which is not, it's a girl. And using that R to get the R sound out as well. So I want to make sure that I'm working on that as much as anything. And also the other thing I need to work on is keep looking up for my contemporary monologue, which is Fear of Music, because there were points when especially in the point where I'm imitating the badger thrashing on the road, who's just been run over and he's now shuffling around because he's just been run over and he's injured and he's trying to get his way because he's in so much pain. And what I need to try and do is find the right moment in that monologue to capture that, because I think I went a bit too quickly. And especially when I'm squatting, I need to make sure that my face is seeable, especially when if I was to be recorded, that they can see the facial expression that I'm giving. Because if I'm just right down, no one can see the face itself. And looking at facial expression at all points during a show, during a play, during a film, during any kind of thing where your face is just as important. So when it comes to acting, your face is very important, your facial expression, and the same with dance, the same with singing a song. Your facial expression is the key to getting that, because people want to see how you are facially fulfilling the actual piece that you're trying to show. Because if it doesn't come out, if no one can see that facial expression the whole way through, no one will kind of get the emotion that you're trying to get across, how you're reacting as that character to that particular thing. So people want to see so as Andy, what I've got to be really clear about is, how did Andy react to when he saw the badger thrashing on the road, going, oh, because as you can see, I'm doing it. I'm trying to act like the badger, even though I'm not, even though I'm just sitting and talking about it. The thing that I've got to try and show is that face that you can see. So that's the one thing that actors have got to be really clear about. So if your face, it's because you want everyone to see your face as much as possible, and everyone wants to see your face, otherwise you don't get comedy. Because if people don't see like the facial expression you can show in like comedy, people won't be laughing. And that's a very important part. If you were to be like showing the real horror of something, if you were to do like a horror face, if you're gonna look like that, then that will give an audience going, oh, he's evil. Or if you were to be like really shy, people kind of feel, oh, he's a shy guy. So if you show that shy face, then they'll see who you really are. And if you can fulfill that, then everyone will kind of go, that's the character's point. And then because people are looking at your characterization, the facial expression you're showing, it will make it easier for like people to walk out of a cinema, walk out of a auditorium in a theatre, walk out after watching a TV series, and they'll go, we know what that actor was trying to show to us from what he was researching, and how we can maybe use that. So if like in the event, if you think about what other actors probably are going to have to do if they were having to play the same character of you, and they had just seen what you had done, then that gives them the idea of what they need to be thinking about when they're portraying that character, if they were to take inspiration from you. And that's where using facial expression is so important at all times. And it's really important even in the moments when you are trying to imitate something that is not up there, that you just need to make sure that the face is still seeable at all points. So that's really important. And just build my way in and find the right key word or the key line that will start the imitation of the badger thrashing, so that it doesn't look like it was thrashing its arse on the road like this. So it's more like it was thrashing its arse on the road like this. You know what I mean? So instead of just going, it was thrashing its arse on the road like this, that wouldn't work. It was thrashing its arse on the road like this. You know what I mean? Just think about that as carefully and as consciously as you can, and then that will make it. Then that will make the kind of cue to come in and do something like that much more slick. So yeah, how am I going to apply this feedback? So for soliloquy, I'm going to have to really work on how to use my jaw structure and how I am going to clearly open the mouth at all times. And because in musical theatre you've got to be as over the top, that you've got to open your mouth like that and be more like, I can see him when he's 17 or so, and starting to go wild with a girl. And you see how articulate that I'm coming from there. So if the way I'm talking now, you could probably go, yeah, he's talking naturally. And, you can use that in, obviously, for screen acting, because you just have to be natural. But when it comes to stage, you've got to have this over-articulate way of speaking, which helps fulfill the way you project your voice to a big venue. So if you were playing in like a West End, if you were playing at a West End theatre, and there was like 2,000 people there, if your voice is to be heard right to the top, you've got to make sure that everyone can hear you from that far out. And so the way you've got to do that is by really making the jaw structure really clear so that everyone can hear you. If you lack that, even if people can hear you, it's really important that diction is coming across. Diction is important in Shakespeare. Diction is just as important for musical theatre, because musical theatre is OTT, as you know, over the top. I mean, not always, but most of the time you've got to be over the top with musical theatre, and you've got to have and the way you open your mouth, it's a lot to go for, but you've got to really open wide, especially so making sure everything is that the mouth doesn't go but it's more like and that will help in terms of making sure the voice does not strain and that. So it's really clear not to do that at all. And the next bit that I need to think about is making sure that when I'm at home, that I am trying to open my space out. And this applies both to monologues and solos, because they're both, you have to act in both. And using your space that is provided either at home or at college, and just practicing the spacing that you're in, just completely kind of zoning yourself to where you've got to be, it will kind of help push your structure and push the character that you're wanting to play to a good minimum. So it's really clear, and that it's not quite vague, because you don't want to just stand there and just say your words, because if you just stand there and say them, then it doesn't really show like the flexibility you have to move from one side of the stage to the other sides of the stage. Because if you are up on a stage and you were supposed to act, and you just stood there just saying your words, it will look really boring and dull. If you really walk around and really show that you're using the space, it's a bit like what, for example, what Freddie Mercury would do when he was in his concerts for Queen. He used all the space he had provided on his stages, that he would just use it all, and he wouldn't just go, I'm just going to stand there and sing my song. He actually went, no, use the whole space, because everyone wants to see you. Everyone wants to see the enthusiasm you're giving. It's the same with acting. Show the space. People want to see how you're fulfilling the whole audience's way of visualizing what you're trying to give them. And I know it's not, and there might be some small spaces, you might have small spaces provided, that you can just go in and just let it play naturally. And once you're familiar with the setting of the stage, and you can just use it, everyone will go, I can see his vision from this side of the room. So from those who might be on the left side of the theatre, can go, I can see his facial expression. On the right side, they might not see it, but on the right, they'll say, I can see that as well. Because you want to make sure everyone can see what you're doing. If not everyone can see it and you're just standing there and you're making yourself seeable, it just looks really boring and vague. And we don't want to see vagueness. We want to see clarity in your physical expression, and making that really as open and as drastic as you can, especially when you're in an auditorium. If you're in a studio, space is very tight, but when it comes to theatre, completely open the whole space out, because you're playing to an audience. You might as well be seeable from all angles. Next part, the next question is, how will this support my personal statement? So I feel how this is going to help support my personal statement is because I'm trying to show how much I'm willing to listen to staff who are trying to give feedback to improve my performances, so that when I come to next rehearse, or if I'm going straight into the show, that I'm saying take on board what they're trying to say. Because at the end of the day, but especially staff, I mean, you can get feedback from students, but students are just, their points could just be as valid. But with staff, staff have been there. Staff have actually done this occupation before, but they've done it at professional level. And a lot of the times they know what they're saying. And so if you listen to them and you take on board what they're saying, it shows that you are, that you don't want to hesitate in understanding that they are, that they're trying to make you the best professional you can be, so that you've got more opportunity to fulfill your career to a further level. And in every sense, it's crucial to realize that, everyone is human. Even when you work so hard at something, there's always little picky areas where anyone can pick out anything, anyone who, even the greatest actors, even the greatest singers, even the greatest dancers, they still need improvement. There's improvement somewhere where you could just pick out somewhere. You probably even say this, the big stars like David Tennant, my favourite actor, there's probably room for improvement for him there. Same with Colin Firth, you'd say the same thing. He probably has areas that he needs to improve. He probably gets it a lot from his directors, and he has to be very professional about it. So it's really important, if you want to go into this profession, to listen and understand and learn from your errors, and see if you can, even if it's like an ongoing improvement that you have to make, even after one show that you've done and you're doing another show and there's still the issue. The more you get into that habit of learning not to do it, you'll be like a natural at it. I remember there was a time when I was so bad at eye contact in acting, and it took me about 2 years to know how to perfect eye contact without being reminded you need to work on eye contact. And it's the same with a lot of other things. I know that I still struggle to know that I need to research words that I might be saying as my character, the words I might be singing in a song, that sometimes I just think, I don't need to research them. But actually, once you've taken a lot more on board, it can become like a habit. And sometimes getting reminders as much as anything. I got reminded a lot when I was young that I need to learn lines, I need to learn songs. And it took me a while to realise that if you learn it early, you're going to make life so much easier just to develop your character, and that you've left the difficult bit to the start, and that you're letting the real enjoyment come together. And it's the same with all other key areas in all aspects of this occupation. It's all about just listening. And if you can apply it from what you hear from staff, even if it's all just verbal, they don't write it all down, even if you make note of it in your head, or you make note of it on your phone or on a notebook, that's what people in the industry want to see. Universities want to see people who are easy to listen to, who can just apply their feedback, no question asked, won't make an excuse that they can't do it. You just go in and say, tell me what I need to improve, and they'll do it. And that is the thing, that is what you've got to do in general. Just don't act like you know better than a director, because that's never the right attitude. Just go in and say, what do I need to do? Or ask a student, what do you think I did well? What can I do to do better? Just let it come naturally and say, I'm just going to tell me what to do, and I'll do the best I can to improve it. And that way you're going to make your reputation become a lot more clear. So it's really, important to get flexibility in criticism to come naturally. So, yeah, that's really what I've got to say for this week. This is Alexander Hall for Viva Voce Week 8. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.